Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we delve into the fascinating tales of our collective past. Today, we embark on a journey through the annals of time to explore one of the most pivotal events in human history, the sack of Rome. This cataclysmic episode has left an indelible mark on the trajectory of civilization, and it is our task to unravel its intricacies, to understand the complex web of circumstances that led to this fateful event. As we set out on this expedition, let us first immerse ourselves in the historical context of the sack of Rome. It was the year 410 CE, a time of great turmoil and upheaval, when the very foundations of the Roman Empire were being tested. The once mighty legions, which had stretched the empire's borders from the misty isles of Britannia to the scorching deserts of Egypt, now found themselves beleaguered on all fronts. The Western Roman Empire, in particular, was plagued by internal strife, corruption, and external pressures, as the Huns, Goths, and Vandals threatened its borders. To understand the events that led to the sack of Rome, we must journey back to the late 4th century CE, when the Roman Empire was divided into eastern and western halves. The Eastern Roman Emperor, Theodosius I, had ruled with wisdom and strength, but his death in 395 CE marked the beginning of a period of instability. His sons, Arcadius and Honorius, inherited the Eastern and Western empires respectively, but their reigns were marked by weakness and incompetence. In this tumultuous landscape, a new player emerged. Alaric, a skilled and ambitious Gothic leader who would play a crucial role in shaping the fate of Rome. Born around 370 CE, Alaric was a member of the Tervingi tribe, a group of Goths who had long been allied with the Romans. However, as the Roman Empire's fortunes declined, Alaric began to forge his own path, seeking power and recognition for himself and his people. In 395 CE, Alaric was appointed as the leader of the Visigothic Foederati, a group of barbarian tribes allied with the Romans, by Theodosius I. However, this appointment was short-lived, as Alaric soon found himself at odds with the Western Roman Emperor Honorius, who refused to recognize his authority or grant him the concessions he sought. As tensions between the Romans and the Visigoths escalated, Alaric began to mobilize his forces, preparing for a potential confrontation with the empire. In 400 CE, he led his army into Italy, seeking to pressure the Roman government into granting him the recognition and rewards he felt were due to him. The Roman Emperor Honorius, however, remained intransigent, and Alaric's efforts were met with resistance and hostility. The stage was now set for a dramatic confrontation between the Romans and the Visigoths. The city of Rome, once the epicenter of power and civilization, was about to face its greatest challenge. The Roman people, confident in their empire's invincibility, were unaware of the impending doom that loomed on the horizon. And so, dear listeners, as we conclude this initial foray into the origins of the sack of Rome, we find ourselves poised on the cusp of a new era, one marked by upheaval and transformation. Join me as we embark on this thrilling journey and uncover the secrets of a bygone era, an era that continues to shape our understanding of the world today. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, where we continue our journey through the annals of time to explore one of the most pivotal events in human history, the sack of Rome. As the year 410 CE dawned, the Western Roman Empire was in a state of utter chaos. The once mighty legions, which had protected the empire's borders for centuries, were now stretched thin, struggling to contain the numerous threats that loomed on all fronts. The Huns, Goths, and Vandals, those fierce barbarian tribes, had been making steady gains, pushing deep into imperial territory. It was against this backdrop of turmoil that Alaric, the skilled and ambitious Gothic leader, made his move. With a large and well-organized army at his command, he marched towards Rome, intent on claiming the city as his own. The Roman Emperor Honorius, still refusing to recognize Alaric's authority or grant him the concessions he sought, remained holed up in Ravenna, leaving the defense of Rome to a skeleton garrison. As Alaric's forces approached the city, panic set in among the Roman population. The people, confident in their empire's invincibility just years before, now realized that their world was on the brink of collapse. The streets were filled with chaos and confusion, as citizens scrambled to flee or prepare for the worst. On August 24, 410 CE, Alaric's army breached the walls of Rome, pouring into the city like a tidal wave. The Visigoths, fueled by a desire for plunder and revenge, rampaged through the streets, leaving destruction and devastation in their wake. The city, once the epicenter of power and civilization, was now a scene of utter chaos. As buildings burned, temples were desecrated, and citizens were slaughtered or taken captive. The sack of Rome, as it would come to be known, lasted for 3 days, during which time Alaric's forces pillaged and plundered the city, amassing a vast treasure trove of gold, silver, and precious jewels. The Roman Empire, already reeling from decades of internal strife and external pressure, was dealt a blow from which it would never recover. As we explore this pivotal moment in history, it is essential to understand the complex web of alliances, rivalries, and betrayals that led to the downfall of the Western Roman Empire. The sack of Rome marked a turning point in world history, as the old order was torn apart, making way for the rise of new powers and the dawn of a new era. In the aftermath of the sack, Alaric's forces continued their campaign of conquest, pushing deep into Italy and eventually sacking other major cities, including Naples and Capua. The Western Roman Empire, its capital in ruins, its people shattered, struggled to regain its footing, but it was too late. The die had been cast, and the empire would never again be the dominant force it once was. Join me as we embark on this thrilling journey and uncover the secrets of a bygone era, an era that continues to shape our understanding of the world today. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, where we continue our journey through the annals of time to explore one of the most pivotal events in human history, the sack of Rome. In the aftermath of the sack, Alaric's forces continued their campaign of conquest, pushing deep into Italy and eventually sacking other major cities, including Naples and Capua. The Western Roman Empire, struggling to regain its footing, was ultimately unable to stem the tide of barbarian invasions that had been plaguing its territories for decades. As the empire's power waned, various barbarian groups, including the Visigoths, Vandals, and Ostrogoths, began to carve up its territories, establishing their own kingdoms and marking the beginning of a new era in European history. One of the most significant consequences of the sack of Rome was the eventual fall of the Western Roman Empire. In 455 CE, the Vandals, another powerful barbarian tribe, sacked Rome once again, this time with even greater ferocity than Alaric's forces had mustered. The Western Roman Empire, its capital in ruins, its people scattered or enslaved, and its economy in shambles, finally collapsed in 476 CE, when the Germanic king Odoacer deposed the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustus. The legacy of the sack of Rome can be seen in the rise of the barbarian kingdoms that emerged from the ashes of the Western Roman Empire. The Visigoths, who had sacked Rome under Alaric's leadership, went on to establish a powerful kingdom in Gaul and Hispania, which would eventually become modern-day France and Spain. The Vandals, meanwhile, established a kingdom in North Africa, which would play a significant role in the Mediterranean world for centuries to come. As we reflect on the sack of Rome and its far-reaching consequences, it is essential to remember that this pivotal event marked a turning point in world history. The fall of the Western Roman Empire led to a period of fragmentation and decentralization in Europe, as various barbarian groups established their own kingdoms and principalities. This, in turn, laid the groundwork for the rise of feudalism, the emergence of new nation-states, and the eventual development of modern Europe. As the great historian Edward Gibbon once wrote, "The sack of Rome by the Goths was an event which filled the civilized world with astonishment and terror." Indeed, the sack of Rome was a watershed moment in human history, one that marked the end of an era and the beginning of a new chapter in the story of Western civilization. In the words of the ancient Roman poet Saint Augustine, the city of Rome, which was once the capital of a great empire, is now but a shadow of its former self. Yet, even as we mourn the passing of an era, we must also acknowledge the enduring legacy of the Roman Empire, which continues to shape our understanding of politics, culture, and society to this day. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.